Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're taking a really close look at Peter Thiel. He's genuinely one of the most influential, often controversial, definitely fascinating figures in the whole global tech scene.
Absolutely.
He's this kind of unique mix, isn't he? Part entrepreneur, investor, a deep thinker, even a philanthropist. German roots, but
Yeah.
very much shaped by his American upbringing.
Mhm.
So our mission here is really to unpack how this one individual managed to reshape whole industries. I mean, from digital payments right through to data intelligence,
Yeah.
and also how he's challenged, the standard way of thinking about things like education, even politics.
Mm.
We're going to pull apart a pretty rich analysis of his journey and, well, his sometimes provocative ideas.
And it really is a deep dive. Thiel isn't just about the money, though obviously the financial success is huge.
Yeah.
He's a strategic thinker, a very pragmatic executor, and his ideas, especially from that book 0 to 1, well, they represent something quite rare. It's this synthesis in a world that, frankly, loves innovation, but maybe doesn't always grasp the philosophy behind it.
Okay.
So yeah, we'll be looking at how he's been this catalyst for change in the digital economy and how his choices have quite literally shaped the world we're living in now.
Okay, let's start unpacking that entrepreneurial path then, right at the beginning, his foundational role. So 1998, he co-founds PayPal. And it genuinely revolutionized digital payments, didn't it?
Oh, completely. Before PayPal, online payments were clunky, untrusted mostly.
Yeah, it wasn't just making it easier. It was like they pioneered digital trust, identity verification,
Yeah.
all outside the old banking systems.
Right.
Kind of laid the groundwork for the whole e-commerce boom.
That's a great way to put it. And
Yeah.
then after PayPal gets sold to eBay, Thiel didn't just, cash out and relax. No, he strategically used those resources. First, he set up Clarium Capital, which was a macro hedge fund looking at big economic trends.
Right.
But maybe even more importantly, he co-founded Founders Fund. And that became this engine for high-risk, high-reward companies, really backing the ambitious, maybe even contrarian ideas.
Like Facebook, SpaceX,
Meh.
Palantir itself.
Exactly. Really embodying his whole philosophy of innovation.
Which brings us neatly to that Facebook investment in
Yeah.
2004. Many people call it a masterstroke. He put in, what, $500,000?
Just $500,000, yeah, for a 10% stake back then.
Wow. I mean, the foresight there at that early stage, it's genuinely kind of staggering. What do you think let him see that potential when, so many others missed it?
Well, I think it really speaks to his ability to look beyond the immediate thing, to see how networks could emerge, potential monopolies forming. And that same kind of vision, you can see it extending to the creation of Palantir technology.
Okay, Palantir.
Yeah, this company focused on really complex data analysis for intelligence agencies, defense, finance.
Right. High-stakes stuff.
Very high stakes. And it feels like a venture that perfectly encapsulates Thiel's broader vision, using powerful tech for these critical, sometimes kind of hidden applications, which naturally brings up questions about the implications of these technologies.
Yeah, definitely. So looking at these companies, PayPal, Founders Fund, Palantir, it's clear he's not just like an opportunistic investor reacting to things.
No, not at all.
There's a real intellectual framework driving his decisions, isn't there?
Absolutely.
Which leads us, I guess, to his core philosophy. The one most famously laid out in his book, 0 to 1.
That's the key text, really.
He has this fundamental idea, right, that real progress isn't just making small improvements on existing things. He calls that going from 1 to N.
Right. Incrementalism.
Instead, it's about transformational progress, creating something totally new, going from 0 to 1.
Yeah.
So what's the sort of deeper meaning behind that?
Well, the deeper implication is it's a pretty fundamental challenge to how we usually think about progress, even about capitalism itself.
How so?
He controversially argues for what he calls creative monopolies. His point is that truly innovative companies don't just compete better in existing markets. They actually create entirely new markets or categories. And because their product or service is so original, so superior, for a while, they're the market. They're the dominant player.
Like Google with search early on.
Yeah.
Or Amazon with online retail.
Exactly like that. They achieved a kind of monopoly, but not through, forcing anyone out. It was through creating something genuinely 0 to 1 that nobody else was offering at the time.
So it's actually a critique of constant head-to-head competition.
Yeah, he suggests that kind of competition often just leads to everyone becoming the same, commoditization, rather than real leaps forward. Build something unique, he says.
And he definitely plays out a build something unique idea beyond just business. He's directly challenged traditional systems, maybe most notably in education.
Oh, for sure.
He famously started the Thiel Fellowship, this program that, I mean, it literally pays bright young people not to go to university, but to develop their own startups instead.
Yeah, $100,000 to drop out and build your idea.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? What
Hmm.
radical idea would you chase if someone offered that? It just flips the standard script completely on its head.
It really does, and it comes directly from Thiel's deep critique of the traditional university system.
What's his main issue there?
He basically argues that universities, with their rigid structures, their focus on credentials, they often end up discouraging the very things needed for radical innovation, like creativity, risk-taking, thinking way outside the box.
So he sees it as training people for the existing world, not empowering them to create a new one.
Precisely. And if you connect that to the bigger picture, it just highlights his belief in these really unconventional individual paths to progress, prioritizing, learning by doing, self-directed creation over sitting in lecture halls.
Okay, so let's shift gears a bit now to his political thinking, his libertarian orientation.
Right. Another controversial area.
He's consistently shown skepticism towards modern democracy as it functions, towards the regulatory state, towards unrestricted globalization. He definitely represents a kind of radical friend of thought there.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
And a pretty striking example of this is his funding for projects like seasteading.
Ah, yes, the floating cities.
Exactly. Autonomous floating cities, basically imagined as an alternative to traditional countries and all their rules and regulations. It's the very bold, maybe extreme vision of freedom and self-governance.
And that commitment to alternative structures, it also connects to his political activities, right? Most notably, his support for Donald Trump. That caused a huge stir in tech circles.
That certainly did.
Yeah, and it's really important for us here just to convey what the source material discusses impartially. We're not endorsing any viewpoints.
Right, just reporting the facts.
Right, exactly. But his affiliations definitely sparked major discussions about the role tech leaders should play in politics globally. It really exposed a significant ideological split within Silicon Valley itself.
That's a good point.
So if we try and synthesize all this, Peter Thiel really emerges as this unique figure, doesn't he? He's a venture capitalist who thinks like a philosopher, acts like an engineer of actual change, and kind of projects himself as this radical reformer. He's constantly pushed against the established rules, not just in business, but education, politics, even the ethics surrounding technology itself, always pushing against the status quo, trying to build something new.
Yeah, his thinking really does invite us, maybe even force us, to rethink what innovation actually means, how the future gets built,
Right.
and who gets to lead that process.
Right.
So for your final thought today, maybe chew on some of these complex questions that kind of bubble up from Thiel's work and his visions for the future. Like, can disruptive innovation in practice truly be compatible with social equity?
That's a big one.
And what kind of societal checks or accountability should exist for the immense power held by technologies like those Palantir develops?
The ethics question.
Then there's the political angle. To what extent should highly influential figures like Thiel shape global political decisions?
Another tough one.
And finally, maybe the most practical question, is his model of success something that can actually be replicated outside the, let's face it, very unique ecosystem of Silicon Valley?
Food for thought, definitely.